What is up, everybody, and welcome to the final week of the PGA Tour season, the Tour Championship. This is where a lot of golfers are going to make a lot of money. But as I talked about last week, just not my favorite playoff format. I mean, every other sport, everything, the anticipation builds up to the playoffs. But with the PGA Tour, it's like the regular season is way better than the postseason. Obviously, that something that has to do with the majors, but I definitely think the format could use a revamp. I'm for a big bracket match play style tournament. I think that would be a lot of fun. You could even do double elimination over a couple weeks, something like that. But we're not here to fix the PGA Tour. We're here to talk about the Tour Championship. Now, Eastlake Golf Club has undergone some restoration since the last time we've seen it. So they reshaped the fairways, they reshaped the greens. There's now Pith Eagle Bermuda grass on the greens. They redid the fairways to a new Zoysia grass. They moved some bunkers around. They lengthened the course. So it is going to look a little bit different than we've seen in the past. I still think it's going to play very similar to what we have seen historically, and that is, good total drivers. You want to keep the ball in the fairway. The rough is going to be thick and tough to play out of. On top of that, you're going to have a lot of tree trouble if you are playing out of the rough. Guys that are very good with their iron play, Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, a lot of these guys that have won here in the past, very good iron players. Then you got to be pretty good around the green as well. Basically, you don't want to have any weaknesses at Eastlake. It should be a very difficult course. And it's a par 71 and now measures just under 7,500 yards. So on a par adjusted basis, this is one of the longer courses that the golfers have seen all year. There's water in play on 8 of the 18 holes now. It was only 6 of the 18 holes last year. So potentially more hazards in play. The penalty for missing the fairway is pretty high here each and every year. Again, the greens are Bermuda grass. And obviously, we got to talk about the starting strokes. So only 30 golfers in the field. There's not going to be a cut this week. Scotty Scheffler is going to be starting at 8 under par, while 10 under par. Xander Schauffele is at 8 under. Hideki Matsuyama 7 under. Then you go all the way down to golfers that are starting at even par. Now, this makes it a little bit difficult from a DFS perspective and from a betting perspective because finishing placement points are very important. However, I was looking at this yesterday. So the difference between, I think it was 8th place and 30th place is essentially 2 birdies. So if you think a guy is going to play well and he's starting at even par, I would have no issue whatsoever playing him, especially if he's coming in at a lower price point, especially if he's coming in at lower ownership. Outside of like the very top, I'm not too worried about the starting strokes. I mean, you just look at the difference between the top and the bottom of the leaderboards over a regular tournament over the course of 4 days. It's massive. So if you like a guy that is starting, well behind, don't worry, just play him. I'm all about just playing the guys that you like and then hoping that they can make up that ground in a round or two. Again, 2 birdies between, 8th and 30th place is very easy to make up over the course of 4 days. Another thing I will mention, this is a great week to leave a lot of salary on the table, especially in tournaments. So you're going to see a ton of duplicated lineups because there's only 30 golfers to choose from. There's only so many roster combinations that you can do. So I think my plan in MME is to leave at least $500 on the table. That way, I'm going to get, I would guess 90% of the field doesn't leave that much money on the table. So automatically you're, avoiding dupes with 90%. Now this 90% is just a guess, but that's what I would say. So you're going to be avoiding dupes and MMEs if you do leave a lot of money on the table. You naturally, it'll allow you to play a little bit more chalk too, because you're just going to have unique combinations that way. And I mean, I would leave up to maybe $2,000 on the table as a max. So it is a good week to kind of get a little bit different. The pricing is a little bit easier as well. So you can build lineups that are pretty strong while leaving a bunch of money on the table as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it from the course perspective. Let's get into the model. So off the tee, I have a 6%, total driving at 6%. I got approach with 13%. I put a greens regulation in this week at 3%. Not a lot of weight, but at the same time, guys that are going to be able to hit the greens and regulation tend to play well here and tend to play well on difficult courses. Around the green at 5%, putting at 8%, birdie better at 3%, bogey avoidance at 5%. Course history has been pretty sticky here over the years, but again, this is a little bit of a different course after the restoration. Then I have 4% to strokes gain on difficult courses, 4% to strokes gain on courses that have tough to hit fairways. So last year, only 55% of fairways were hit at this event. Then you have the starting strokes. So if you do want to include starting strokes more than I do, you can bump this up. So basically what I did was I took the starting strokes and multiplied it by 10. So in actuality, Scheffler starting at 10, Xander at 8, Hideki at 7, Keegan at 6, Ludwig at 5. And so basically what I did was gave them a reward for the model based on their starting strokes. So guys down here are getting a 0 when it comes to the weight into the model. So you can bump this up if you want, if you do think starting strokes are more important than I do. I'm obviously going to be starting most of my lineups with one of these two up top. So I don't really feel like I need to, focus on starting strokes all that much. Short-term form, mid-term form, long-term form, I have it at 12, 11, and 10%. I do have ownership in here. I do have golfer notes on every single golfer in the field. If you do want to check those out, again, you can download this model if you are an RG Premium member. You can customize the weights to however you see fit, and then all you got to do, once you are done messing with the model, you can manually adjust golfers as well. So even if, let's say you really like Keegan Bradley coming off of the win. He doesn't project that well because he hadn't been in the best of form recently. He was 59, 22nd, 46, 81st, but he coming off the win. Maybe you think he's a great course fit or whatever. You can come over here, give him a 20% boost. All of a sudden, he looks a lot better. So when you upload your ratings in the lineup HQ, it'll automatically do that for you. But all you do, come over to this upload column, create a new sheet. Copy and paste the values into that new sheet, then you can upload those directly into lineup HQ. All right, let's get to the rankings. So we got Xander at number 1, 95.1 rating, pretty solid. And then you have Scheffler at 92.8. And then there's a massive gap until you get to Hideki. So for me, I like starting with one of these two. I definitely prefer Xander over Scheffler, and that's for a number of reasons. The $1,200 savings comes into play. You look at course history. I will note that the course history doesn't include starting strokes. So Xander Schauffele, without the starting strokes, has finished 1st, 6th, 3rd, 1st, and 2nd over the last 5 years. And then you look at Scheffler, 21st, 13th, 17th. That is not good. Keep in mind, these are 30-man fields. And then you can look at last week, Xander, another top 5. Scheffler, T33, and he lost strokes ball striking, or lost strokes tee to green. The only last time he did that was at this event here last year. So he's done it twice in the last year. One was last week. One was at this event last year. I don't know. He looked visibly frustrated. Wouldn't surprise me to see him come out and play well, but on a per dollar basis, given the ownership and all that, I definitely prefer Xander over Scheffler. I think for MME, I'm going to put min exposure Xander at 50%. The max exposure of Scheffler at like 20, 25% is kind of going to be my plan. Moving down, Hideki had to withdraw last week, which does make me nervous. I mean, he was 5 under par. He was only 1 shot behind the leader after Thursday. Still had the WD, so obviously the back injury was serious. A lot of money on the line, though, so you got to think he's going to try to tough it out. But, man, that is really risky. Love Morikawa at 9,100. You talk about a guy that hits fairways, good iron player, improving short game. Got to think he's a great fit for Eastlake. Rory McIlroy's probably second only to Xander Schauffele in terms of the course history. Just been awesome here over the years, couple of wins as well. So I do like Rory. T11 last week wasn't bad. It was nice to see him bounce back after, just imploding at the St. Jude. So I do like him kind of as maybe a second man into your lineups, him or Morikawa to pair with Xander. I like that quite a bit. Tommy coming in at number 6 in the model. He's been playing great. He gained 10 strokes, tee to green 2 weeks ago. Last week was a T5. Pretty good track record at Eastlake as well. Sign me up for Tommy, even though he's starting well back. Ludwig's a first timer here. Not sure if that's a bad thing, but the form has been up and down. He kind of reminds me of Hovland from last week, where he's coming off of a big finish. I think he's going to be pretty popular. I'm just probably not going to be on him at this price point. Love Henley, another guy that's very accurate off the tee, good iron player. Tony Finau hasn't been great here in the past, but a couple top 10s. Great iron player. He's been solid all year. If he has a good short game week, I could see him contending. Love Cantlay. I've been on him each of the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. He's finished T12, T13. Certainly nothing wrong with that. Pretty good track record at Eastlake as well. The $9,400 price point should keep ownership down a little bit. You have Adam Scott, who's been playing some great golf. I was kind of pulling for him to win last week. He's had 4 straight top 20s, but he earned himself another spot into the Tour Championship. Playing great. Tends to play well on classical golf courses, which I like. Sung Jae Im, not the best course history, but did finish second here in 2022. He's been playing his best golf of the year over the last few months, so I do like him quite a bit. Hovland, the ball striking's back. He was T2 at the St. Jude, T26 last week. Iron play is looking really good, and he loves this course. So he actually won the Tour Championship here last year, another fourth place finish a few years ago. I do like Hovland quite a bit. Burns, I worry about Burns' driver, and he's going to be so popular. I'm just going to take my chances with the fade. You have Wyndham Clark, who's played well in big events and played well on difficult courses. I think it definitely sets up well for him. He was third here last year without starting strokes. Billy Horschel, I've been playing him every week. He hasn't really disappointed yet. 4 straight top 22 finishes. Sign me up once again. Aaron Wright, I think he's a great fit for the course. He's the one guy that's like a first-timer that I feel really good about here. Didn't play great last week, T43, but yeah, 6,400 is a good price point. You have Shane Lowry, who played well last week, but it was all the putter. That's kind of worrisome when it comes to Lowry, a guy that's typically known for his bad putting. Again, you have Keegan down here, does not project that well at this price point. Seabez, worried about his driver a little bit as well. You have Pendrith, who's been playing some great golf. JT has a great course history. He's trying to pull the Keegan Bradley from last week, and that he was the last man in the field, and then, you know, plays the best the next week. Look at this course history. I might end up playing more JT than most, even though the form hasn't been very good. You have Benny on. Seb Straka is a guy that I always like to play in tournaments. Tigala has been playing pretty bad, and he's got really bad course history, but he's one of those guys that he always plays well when you least expect it. So maybe it's a Tigala week. I don't know. Hoagie gained 8.5 strokes on approach last week, so he's interesting. Bobby Mack withdrew last week. I'll probably be off of him. I'll be off of Akshay. Kirk's kind of a veteran that could have a decent week. He finished T9 last week, and then Pavon is like way last in the model, 14.4 rating. That's one of the lowest that we've seen all season. So that'll do it for this week. Again, don't be afraid to take some stands this week. Don't be afraid to leave money on the table. If you have any questions, I will be in the RotoGrinders Discord all week. Best of luck. Thanks for watching these videos all year. We'll be back at the start of the new season. It won't be too long, so don't you worry if you are a DFS golf nut like myself. Best of luck. Catch you next week. Actually, not next week. Catch you in a few weeks. See you.